Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to GratiTube TV. This is our next episode. You can check us out, by the way. We're on the YouTube channel as GratiTube TV. Please check it out. Subscribe to the show. That way you can get regular feedback and updates. Before we get into it, I just want to let you know the mission statement or the purpose of GratiTube TV is to express gratitude every single day in the hopes that we enhance other people's lives as well as our own.
I'm Jason Caras.
Oh, yeah. I'm Frank Clark, also known as Mr. Orange. And Jay, why don't you tell us about the format of the show?
So the format of the show has 5 series that will be intertwining throughout the programs, starting with entrepreneurship, relationships, finance, personal and professional development, as well as entrepreneurship and being an entrepreneur. Today is an entrepreneur-based show where we're going to talk about getting your company noticed on a budget. It's always a challenge to get your company noticed if you're a startup or you don't have the necessary capital for a robust marketing package, but there is a ton of things that you can do for free or on the cheap that'll get your company the kind of publicity that will draw the kind of customers and employees that you're looking to attract.
Right. But before we get started, Jay, why don't you tell us what you're grateful for today? What's great in your life right now?
Today I'm grateful, and every day I'm grateful for my kids. I'm grateful that I get to be a dad to them, and it's the biggest responsibility of my life. I'm grateful for my amazing girlfriend and her daughter. I'm grateful for my ex-wife. I'm grateful for my business partners and my friends and my family. I'm grateful for the people in my life.
Awesome. What I'm grateful for today is the amazing staff that I have at Lewis & Clark and Island SMT. I'm also very grateful for my friendship here with Jason, grateful for my health, my ability to be here and alive and living in Tampa Bay, and I'm also very grateful for Jason's girlfriend.
Wait, what? So let's kick it off. Getting into the show. First and foremost, no matter what you do, it can't be a one-off thing. It's got to be consistent. You can't just expect to do something once a year or even once a month and expect the kind of return. So what is a return on investment for these efforts? It's getting your company noticed. It's getting people to come to want to work for you or work with you, and it's getting customers to want to work with you. So in order to do that, you have to demonstrate a level of consistency. It can't be just little things. And they say that, a person needs to see a marketing piece about your company something like 21 times in order for them to even, potentially take an action.
Yeah, 21 times per year is the marketing average. From what I've heard also, the people need to see your company repetitively in some form of marketing or some form of data that they can remember. That keeps your top of mind. With the innovations of obviously social media, you'll see people out there pushing their company sometimes 21 times a week, 7 times a day.
Right.
There's such an influx of this opportunity. And that's what we want to talk about today is, some of this stuff is very cheap and very inexpensive. And how do you get this inexpensive way to get your company highly noticed?
Right. So, like what we've done at IT Authorities is we've taken advantage of competing in our community and in our marketplace. So not just in the Tampa Bay community, but in our industry as well. So
what do you mean by competing?
So, for instance, like competing for bragging rights of being a best company to work for, right? That's all culture driven. Right. That is, your employees have to rate you, but somebody in your company, typically the owner, needs to submit and say, we would like to compete in this award program and get noticed, so that then there's a survey that goes to the employees fill it out. And if you truly are a great company to work for, it's going to come across in the results of those surveys. And then next thing you know, you're at a gala, your name's on a presentation, you're in the newspaper. Right. That's done by the Tampa Bay Business Journal. And business journals are all throughout the entire country. And if you don't have a business journal in your exact town, you probably have one in your vicinity. And if it isn't a business journal, then it's a related type magazine. Right. Gulf Shore Business, I think, is called here on the west coast of Florida. There's tons of publications.
And the thing about a lot of these publications, too, and a lot of these awards, Wayne Gretzky said it best. You miss 99% of the shots you never take. And with a lot of these awards, not a lot of people participate. There's sometimes a really small pond that you're fishing in here. And,
relative speaking,
yeah.
There's what, thousands and thousands of businesses, but there might be several hundred that submit for a best place to work.
Exactly. So the point is show up, right? The point is put your name in the hat. The point is, be part of it, right?
And the Inc. 5000, okay, they recognize the fastest growing companies in America, fastest privately held companies in America. And so there's the Inc. 5000, there's the Inc. 500. There's a list of how many people made the top 500, and then the 5,000. But there are tens of thousands of submissions, and some of the companies that you get on the list maybe have 100% growth. The ones that win it sometimes have 50,000 times growth.
Right,
which is
crazy.
It's insane, right? But all you got to do is you got to get in the game. You got to get up to bat, right?
You got to get up to bat. Another great way to get your company noticed is to have your employees bragging about your company, outside of the walls of the company. And that boils down to the culture that you employ.
Right, they're not going to brag if you have a crappy culture.
Yeah, if they don't like coming to work every day, they're not going to brag.
Right.
At my companies, the culture boils down to the mission statement. And if you have a solid mission statement, something that people can remember. In our mission statement, I actually took it from one of my mentors, a guy named Keith Cunningham down in Austin, Texas, who said that the mission statement in his company, and has let me borrow, is do your best, do the right thing, and show other people that you care. When people believe that, it manifests itself into greater customer relationships. It manifests itself in greater synergy between your staff. They get along better because, again, they're doing the best, they're doing the right thing, and bottom line is they're showing other people that they care, and they tend to take that outside your company.
That's right, because you're not just looking for customers, you're looking for employees, right? You want people that want to come to an environment where they say, I can make a difference in the culture, and it's up to me, because it isn't the CEO that sets the culture. I don't care what you say on your website about your culture. Your culture is only as good as the way people felt when they walked in the door today.
Yeah.
So how do they feel? And going back to human needs that we've talked about in previous shows, you have something that you have to hit on for significance. You have to make sure that that they feel appreciated. You have to give them some certainty in their job. They need to have variety in their job. They need to be growing, and they need to feel like they're contributing to something larger than themselves. And if you're firing on all those cylinders, you're going to have happy employees.
Right. Yeah, those Tony Robbins' 6 human needs are really vital. Again, for a great culture. But again, getting back to, how do we get ourselves noticed as a company, right? You're entrepreneurs, you guys are out there, you're trying to figure out, I don't have a lot of money, how can I do that? Well, culture obviously is one. Entering different contests, it doesn't cost you any money to go out and do that.
Some of them will have a nominal fee, $100, something like that,
and if people like working for your company, invest in some swag, buy them a shirt, get them a hat, get them something that they can wear outside the company that people go, hey, what's that all about, That's cheap, it's not that much money, and again, if your staff loves what they do, they'll wear your stuff outside on the street.
Another thing that's cheap is press releases. There's free press release sources, and you can pay for it to be syndicated and shared amongst lots of distribution. But, a lot of things that most people don't know how many things are actually press worthiness. There's a ton of things. You pick up a new customer, you land a new partner, you promote a new employee, you add a new division, anything like that. That's free. You can publish, and then newspapers are dying for content, or at least websites and content and magazines are all dying for content, man.
They really are.
So all you got to do is just put that news out there. Think about it, have it written. There's freelancers that will write up press releases for you. There's templates you can download and just replace some of the text and keep it and save it so that at the end there's always about the company. Mm-hmm. But there's always a format, and there's a best practice in the format that you should be following. Just Google it. What's best practice for a press release? So you'll find a format, what to put, what type fonts. That way, when you send them to the Business Journal, or you send them to your local newspaper or a magazine, like Florida Trend, for instance, they want to see it in a certain format. And if it's not in that format, it's got less likelihood of getting picked up.
Right. So some simple skills, in order to do that, to get press releases and deliver them. Again, cheap money. You're not investing a lot of time and energy into it. Another one, really.
Well, before you go on, I just want to say, when you do a press release and it goes off into the internet, right? when someone does a search on something that you do, for instance, for us, it's managed IT services. Well, if in my press release it says IT Authority is a managed service provider, blah, 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 and then someone does a search, it's going to pick up those keywords. And then when potential prospects are going to come across that, and they're going to say, oh, this company has credibility because they have press out in the world.
Right.
There's press notices,
people
right?
know about it. And if you add that press release to the blog side of your website too, that's going to enhance your SEO on your website. There's a lot of different tactics. You throw it on LinkedIn, it's going to enhance your website. Again, you want to draw traffic to your website. You want to draw traffic to your company. Again, these are cheap and very little time consuming, methods. Even if your press release doesn't get picked up by somebody, as long as you put it in your LinkedIn pages, you put it in your blog on your website, you make it a public release. Maybe you send it to as a mailing list. You use
newsletters.
Yeah,
right.
Send it out, something like that.
So written and video testimonials, another opportunity. So
right.
Your customer says they're happy. Great. Hey, do you mind if I take a note on or you sent an email into us? Do you mind if I use some of that in our materials? The materials could be your website, your newsletter, and then that stuff will get picked up as well. And it's free. This video we're shooting right now isn't costing us a single dime.
Right.
So if we were promoting a company, we could be doing this. And video is ranked very, very high in search engines. So video is dynamite. If you can get a customer to give you a testimonial on video, or
like your mom?
or if you want to talk about your company in general, talk about a product, talk about a service, I've always contended that I would rather watch a quick video and tell me about the company than actually read about your About Us section.
Yeah.
Personally, it's just my style.
Mm-hmm.
So then we get into social media posts, right? Social media posts, obviously free, but and they need to be consistent.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff. People want to know, oh, we just did this, or we implemented this type of new process in our business. We're really excited about what the results are going to be. Stay tuned, right? That's free, and it's exposure.
Stuff like this, Facebook Lives, 3 to 5 minutes, just expose yourself to, well, not expose yourself, but...
Not literally.
No, but give yourself exposure,
Yeah.
Through a Facebook Live. And sometimes, it doesn't necessarily have to be all about, hey, this is the product and service we sell. Just give some public information. Give a shout out to somebody else. Give an endorsement to somebody that links to your company.
Absolutely. Givers get.
Givers
right?
get, exactly. So, throw something out there that's for the community. Throw something out there that's a shout out for a great staff member, or, even, something that you're, I don't know, like a charitable event.
Well, let's talk about charitable events, because there's two parts to that, right? One, you're giving back to the community in one way, shape, or form, but you're also getting exposure. Now, you're not doing it for the exposure, but that is a beautiful byproduct of it. So you should be encouraging your teams to get into the community, find something they're passionate about, start with sitting in a committee, then move up to getting a board seat, and contributing. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to be carrying the torch of your company, because they're all going to know where they work. And they're going to know that this is part of your culture. And it should be. If it's not, make it part of your culture that people give back. That they give back in the form of their time and their money, but certainly their time, where they can sit on a committee. In Tampa Bay, there's so many great nonprofits all over the country. In every single city, there's a nonprofit that really needs some intelligent people to help them move their ball. Right? Because they're constantly asking for money, they're constantly needing exposure, and most people just need, it's more like they need people to know about them. In Tampa, it's Grace Point. A lot of people didn't know what Grace Point was. Grace Point is emergency mental health services. If you've been Baker acted or Marchand acted, most likely you ended up there. Mm-hmm. And not a lot of people hear about this stuff. So that's something that we're working on as a board. As I sit on the board there, we're getting more exposure to the populace at large.
Again, it's very free, very cheap way to do things. If your staff is, let's say they're volunteering in the Special Olympics one day, or they're working for, SPCA, or they're doing something for rescue animals. Post it, throw it up there, give them a shout out, but you're also giving the organization a shout out, and you're giving your company indirectly some exposure that, people will feel good about. And that's what's key, right? Just give back.
Yeah. So let's get to the challenge of the week. Try to find something that you think is newsworthy, and really give yourself, don't just put up a limiting belief and say, oh, that's not newsworthy, because you'd be surprised. In fact, if you have an idea of what you think might be newsworthy, do a Google search and see if other people did press releases based on something like what you're about to do. And then find a template, get those, and then start a schedule. Put it on your calendar to say, we're going to do a press release once a week, or we're going to do a press release once a month. And we're gonna find and do research on, here's 25 subjects that we can do press releases on. So one will be when we have new clients. One will be when we hire new employees. One will be when we form new partnerships, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Map it all out and then be consistent.
Be consistent. And, another consistency piece that you could do is you can have an assistant or even hire virtual assistants to do this. Which is highly recommended. If you haven't read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek, there's a lot of shortcuts in there and a lot of ways to get exposed and take advantage of social media and other different things. But let's look at just social media. If you had somebody that was an assistant, like I said, a virtual assistant, that every single day posted something, just a picture, some feel-good statement, something about gratitude, maybe plug our show.
But, no, that's a good point, though. You see, you don't have to be talking, like a lot of the stuff that we put out is not necessarily have anything to do with IT. A lot of it has to do with personal and professional development.
Yeah, personal and professional development. Make somebody feel good, right? Give a gratitude shout out. And again, just see how that blossoms the people that start following you on social media. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, obviously LinkedIn. Web Talk is another one that's coming up. It's fantastic. Check it out.
If you haven't checked out Web Talk, check it out.
So different methods of social media. Check it out. And that's our challenge for you this week. Again.
Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, I'm Frank Clark. Mr. Orange, by the way, is a name that I go by with a lot of my Tony Robbins Date with Destiny people. But check it out. There'll be more coming out about that. It's strictly about business and high energy and spiral dynamics and level 5 oranges. The more is going to be coming out about that as we do more shows. But anyways, just want to let you know what that's about. So check out our show and subscribe to it. And again, be grateful this week and do something that's outside your comfort zone and enhance your company. Right? Get it out there. Take advantage of some free marketing. All right?
And please subscribe and please share. Please share the subscription with others. We're looking to get an audience going and really make a difference in the world.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your time. Have a great day.
Good job, man.